Hey, this is Jedd Hafer at the Love and Logic Institute with Dr. Charles Fay,
Hey
the
there!
doctor of love and logic.
Love and logic. How do those things go together?
They don't.
Oh man, you
That's
love.
why it's and.
Well, no, they go together great. It's you love your kids enough to let them make mistakes, right? You love them enough to let them wear clothes that don't match to school. Isn't
It's
that
a
great?
logical consequence.
Yeah. You love them enough to set those limits, and the logic develops in their head that says, "I wonder how my next decision is going to affect me." So just to make a point.
So
here.
you love them and you help them develop
Yeah,
logic.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
nice.
That's exactly right.
I wanted to get as you're a psychologist. That's the rumor that I'm spreading.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, that's going to change this
Well,
question.
I technically am, but I just feel argumentative today for some reason.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. As a psychologist, what are your thoughts on disagreement? Human beings
What do you mean
disagreeing with one another.
Oh, so you want to know what about human beings disagreeing with each other? Why do they do that? Or
Why do they do that? And is it normal for them to want to strangle one another over minor disagreements? Because I spend a little time on I do the social media stuff, right? So I spend a little time on
you
social media.
do.
And I find that people are fighting over things that they used to just be like, well, I see it this way. Now, it's like, I have to attack you. You're a horrible human being. And they call each other names and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, well, I think that when people are dissatisfied with their own lives, then it just is irritating to be around somebody who's happy. There's nothing that can be more irritating. You know how it is. You wake up in the morning, you're grumpy, right?
That's definitely me.
And then you run into somebody who is what?
They're happy.
They're happy.
And you hate them.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! Isn't that
How dare
something?
they have the audacity?
Yeah, they're perky. There's nothing worse than somebody who's perky in the morning when you're feeling a little disgruntled about your own life. And
I don't know about those people, the perky people, especially in the morning. I don't know.
last time I checked, there's been a real run on I can't say it. Psychotropic medications. Yes.
Oh, lots of people are on
There's
that.
been a run on those things. Lots of really deeply depressed people. Lots of people,
Anxiety meds and
yeah,
depression meds, I think,
unhappy. And
all-time high.
Yeah, and so the more unhappy somebody is, the more likely they're going to be contrary.
What if I'm unsure of myself, and then there's this person who's super sure of their viewpoint? That's going to make me super mad too, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then we factor in there's a lot of kids who have been trained to, by the way they've been parented, to want to argue about every single thing because it works for them.
Yeah, arguing gets me my way.
Yeah.
And by the way, don't you dare upset me. That's another way I've been parented. I've been parented to believe that no one has a right to upset me.
Yeah, in
Or
fact,
I have the right to never be upset.
well, it comes down to I've been parented in a way where I am in case you haven't noticed, I am the center of the known universe.
It all revolves around you.
Exactly. It is a tough job to be the pivot point of, of the entire known galaxy, universe. I mean,
It's a good way to raise a really miserable human being, isn't it?
thing, yes.
It's a good way to make somebody really miserable, and they'll be sure to make the people around them miserable as well.
Yeah.
I believe that.
They will. They will make other people miserable. So there was a time, there have been some times, I'll say, where people have been okay disagreeing with each other. But the last time I checked the history books, I don't think the Middle Ages were like a real positive time. Or
Yeah, human nature, we do seem to be at each other quite a bit.
Yeah, we do tend to have a problem with that because of the egocentricity.
Well, how about this? In the time we're in right now, if I'm disagreeing with you, in a lot of cases, it's online,
Yeah.
right? So I feel maybe a little more bold. I got a few extra seconds to go Google my argument or 5 things that agree with me that I can plaster out there as more evidence that you're wrong. I'm less likely to get punched in the face for calling you bad names and so forth. So I assert my argument with even more force than I would if we were just sitting talking in the airport.
Yeah, everybody's braver. It's like my dog is braver behind the fence, and the neighbor brings their dog in, and she goes and cowers.
So behind the fence of a screen, I'm much more bold, and I'm probably less empathetic too, right? I don't care whose feelings I hurt because I'm not seeing their hurt face or their sad feelings.
Yeah, and so many of us too, more and more are being raised not really interacting with real people.
And so less empathy because I'm seeing maybe more screens, less real faces, and so my empathy is just not where it would be.
Yeah, and I've been killing more people in my video games.
You have been. Congratulations.
No, not me, but
oh,
I'm
hypothetically.
saying, hypothetically, I've been killing more people in my video games. So I have a lot less empathy, and I tend to be a lot more argumentative. So what do we do about that?
I was just going to ask you that. Why are you throwing that at me, man? No, what do we do about maybe, I don't want to say an inability, but a diminished ability to hear disagreements, to respectfully disagree, to not call each other the worst names we can think of just because we happen to view, we'll just say, hypothetically, a political issue or some other issue. We view this differently. How do we help other people? How do we help ourselves not be so disagreeable, contrary? Right?
Yeah, how do we help ourselves not be so contrary? Well, I think one of them is we say to ourselves that everybody else, sometimes it looks like everybody else is looking at, okay, they're doing that, so I'm going to do such and such to them. But what would happen if we took the advice that one of my great professors gave to me, and he said, you'll never go wrong taking the high road.
That sounds like pretty good advice.
Yeah,
never go wrong taking the high road.
So what does the high road look like?
I'm going to guess that it's a more patient with others road.
Yeah, it's more patient with others. It's
classy.
It's also saying to yourself, I don't always have to have my way. I don't always have to get. It's a attitude of saying to oneself, it's okay if other people go first.
Yeah, I don't have to win and you lose.
Yeah, it's not like that. And so we want to raise our kids that way, where they can see that, number one, arguing doesn't pay. It's very important, right?
Especially that destructive kind of arguing.
Yeah, and so when they're arguing and trying to manipulate, we know how to handle it. I like this one, what did I say? Keep repeating that one. And what did I say? And what did I say? And I had a situation that could have gone kind of poorly. I was at a sporting event, a youth sporting event, and there was another person there, an adult, who was doing something that was quite annoying to everybody else. Okay,
that's hard to believe.
And this had been a pattern, not the friend. There's something about being able to stand up for yourself, right, or stand up for other people. And we are not suggesting that we all walk around and be like meek and never, ever stand up for ourselves or other people. There are times for that. How do you do that? And I walked over to this person and I asked them nicely if they would do such and such, and it was all appropriate. And of course, the person came unglued. And
oh wow!
Yeah.
And told you, why don't you do such and such?
Yeah, and I like this one, when you ask somebody nicely, and they don't comply, to smile at them and say, "Did I ask you nicely? Thank you." And then move on and say to yourself, I don't have to win this thing.
Yeah, I've used that with a kid before.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is that when a crowd sees you treating somebody really nicely, it puts a little pressure on the person who's acting like a jerk.
There's that social pressure, appropriate social pressure.
Right. And so I think we don't need to be part of it, but we can also be strong leaders.
Good for you. So, and you were able to walk away, feel like you took the high road.
Yeah, it's
And if the person changes their behavior, great. If not, you've done your part.
that's right. That's right.
How about this? How about if I'm thinking about my kids, should they have some practice disagreeing respectfully / appropriately? Would that be a good idea?
Yeah, it would be good if they had some practice. So every home needs a little due process clause, right? Where we say, if you ever feel like something isn't fair, come and whisper to me. I'm not sure that's fair, and we'll visit, right? And I promise, I make a pledge to you to listen. I may not change what I decide to do, but I'm going to listen. And another thing that kids really need to see is parents having conflict.
Having a disagreement
Yeah,
without throwing stuff at each
They
other.
really need to see adults having conflicts with each other and resolving those conflicts in peaceful ways. It's something that a lot of kids don't have an opportunity to see, which is pretty sad.
I saw a dad once practicing with his kids, and he said, if so-and-so wasn't giving you a turn, what would be like a really bad way to handle that? What would be a not good way to handle that? And he's like, how about snatch it out of his hand, or call him a name? And they're pretty little kids that are like, no. And he's like, well, what would be a nicer way? And they practiced, like you said, asserting themselves, but in a polite way, like, excuse me, it's my turn, please, or he just had him practice, and just doing that, I think, made his kids way more likely to handle that conflict in the moment. You could do the same thing with your own kids. Hey, if you were going to disagree with me, what would be a not very respectful way to do it? And I bet your kids could come up with one or two really fast. And then what would be a better way if you wanted to get my attention and call to my attention something that you wanted to discuss or that you didn't think was fair? What would be a better way to do it?
Right. And I suppose to wrap this up, there's one thought that I have left in my brain, and that is how we all can, in families, one of the hardest things about being a family is being together a lot. It's a great thing. Yeah. We want to be together.
Like
we
it's
need
summertime,
to be together,
family vacation, you're all in the car together.
When families are close together, after a while, everybody just starts to annoy each other.
Sure.
And
I'm sure you can relate to that.
Even here at the Love and Logic Institute, where there's a lot of love in the name of our business, we have this is a small family business, and from time to time, we need to have a little reset. Because all of us are kind of like, rawr.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't know it. You've never been over there in the customer service where we're pretty good working with employees. I'm sorry, we're pretty good at working with customers. We're pretty nice. I think we have a good track record of that and everything. But I've seen people get off the phone and then turn to somebody, and that's
Is it kind of like I can be good with other people's kids, but sometimes not my own?
Exactly, and we have great people here, work really hard, but we're all normal, and so
human.
From time to time, a family needs to get together and recommit to treating each other in a way that is commensurate with how their heart feels towards those people. And I've had to confess to my wife, Monica, I said, I'm not treating you in a way that really matches up with how much I adore you.
Oh, man, that's beautiful.
I've been treating, you, Cody, or Mark, or Adam in a way, or my tone of voice just has not been equal to how I feel about you, and I'm sorry about that, and I make a commitment to you to do a better job. Would you help me with that, point that out to me? And so from time to time doing that, and not saying, okay, kid, it's your turn.
No, you do that for me.
But taking the lead and having faith that if you do that and you follow through by walking the talk, right, that eventually that'll rub off on the kids.
What a lovely idea. I think we can almost carry that out to broader society.
Yeah.
The average person we're talking to, hey, do you care about people? Yeah. Do you love people? I really do. Well, let's make sure that our tone toward them is matching up with what we say, and if I love somebody, I ought to be able to disagree.
Right.
And not to have it turn into a character assassination or a big fight.
And if you love somebody too, you can say, "Did I ask you nicely?" And walk away and say to yourself, "I don't have to win this. I don't have to be the one who gets my way in this situation."
Well, Charles, that is just way more helpful than I really hoped or expected for this conversation.
Thanks for the encouragement.
This would be, so I would like to I'd like to end with a nursery rhyme that I learned. You may recognize this. It goes like this: Mary, Mary, quite contrary. No, you're wrong. I never said that. That's it. Because she's contrary. He doesn't get it.
Okay.
Dang, we'll edit that out.
It wasn't that good. But I'm not trying to be argumentative because I still really care about you.
I can't argue with you because I have to agree.
I think I sent a positive relationship message while I was destroying your self-esteem.
Yeah, but you spoke the truth in love. It wasn't that good.
Yeah, there you go. Well, this is falling apart. Have a great one.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, take care.